Hey everyone, it's been a month since my last video, so I'm making another progress update on how my Japanese immersion learning has been going. I'll quickly start with what I've been doing this month. So for Anki, there's not too much to talk about. The only big change I made is increasing my core 2K 6K cards from 35 per day to 40, and I'm still just doing 7 new cards a day from sentence mining. It takes around an hour and 20 minutes to finish both, which I'm currently happy with. At the moment I have 3,500 cards, and that's around 400 sentence and 3,100 core cards. I'm still suspending a lot of the more niche or business related cards, and I should be finished within the next 1 or 2 months. For listening, it's been a bit of a slow month. I didn't do as much as I initially intended to, but I still feel like I'm making noticeable improvement. I watched My Dress Up Darling at the start of the month, and it went pretty well. It's just a standard slice of life, so not too hard to follow along with. I then tried Kami Can't Communicate, which I'd already started last month, but found it slightly above my comprehension level, so going into it I wasn't really expecting to understand too much. It was definitely easier than before, but I still struggled to keep up and didn't really want to spend time pausing to try and make sense of the sentences, so I dropped it after 6 episodes. Another anime that I tried last month but found it a bit too difficult at the time was Haramiya, which this time round I was able to watch without too much trouble. I actually think this is on the easier side of things to watch, so I'm not sure why I struggled so much last month, but I'm glad I gave it another chance since I really enjoyed watching it. After Haramiya, I wanted to try watching something without subtitles just to see where I'm at with only listening, and I chose the Non Non Biyori movie since I'd already watched the first 2 seasons last month and I'm used to the characters. It felt like the perfect anime to kind of ease myself into watching without subs, and I was able to understand a decent amount of what was being said since it was mostly shorter sentences and nothing too complex. Obviously there were still moments where I understood very little, but I'm definitely happy with how it went. Compared to the last time that I tried watching anime without subs, it was a big improvement. I also watched Wonder Egg Priority, which is the first anime that I've seen that wasn't strictly slice of life, so I wasn't too sure on how much I'd actually be able to understand, but I think it went pretty well, even if at times I missed some key points. I think I was able to follow along with mostly everything that was happening. The last anime I watched this month was Josei the Tiger and the Fish, and I really enjoyed it. The story was simple, so it wasn't hard to follow along with. I would definitely recommend it to anyone that's looking for something a bit easier but also has a good story. Generally, I'd say my listening comprehension has improved since last month. Even if it's not as much compared to my reading, I'm still happy with my current progress. For reading, it was kind of a complete opposite of last month. I finished I Had That Same Dream Again, which I really enjoyed. It felt like the perfect light novel to start with, and I did try I Want to Eat Your Pancreas afterwards, but I definitely underestimated the difficulty gap between the two. I was constantly stopping to look up multiple words per sentence, and even then I sometimes wouldn't really understand what was going on. I did try looking for other light novels that would be slightly easier to read, but couldn't really find anything that I would be interested in. It was around this time that I had the website Learn Natively recommended to me. It was quite good to use for finding reading material that was around my current comprehension level. Before that I'd been using JPDB for light novels and anime, but currently there's no manga ratings. I've also been using Mokoro for reading manga. It makes dictionary lookups and sentence mining with Yomi-chan kind of effortless, and honestly this is one of the biggest things that increased my enjoyment for reading manga. I started with Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, which was something I wanted to read in English, so I knew I'd be interested in it as long as it wasn't too difficult. It was a bit of a struggle for the first volume or so, since there was a lot of vocab related to supernaturals, ghosts, exorcisms and things like that, but once I'd gotten used to those, it went quite smoothly afterwards. I think it was slightly harder than I Had That Same Dream Again, and at times there were concepts being described that I definitely couldn't really follow along with, like character abilities or really specific supernatural settings. But I definitely made a lot of progress while reading this with vocab and especially grammar. After finishing that I read Sayonara Eri. Since there was only 1 volume, it was just a nice short story to read while looking for something longer. I then moved on to Call of the Night. It was another manga that I wanted to read in English, and I really enjoyed this one actually. Like with Hanako-kun, there was a bit of time needed to get used to the vocab related to vampires, but it's used so often that it only took a short amount of time. It was also a slight step up in difficulty, which was kind of perfect since it was still a challenge but also easier at times. In total I read 33 volumes this month, and it's a lot of time to only read a couple of manga, but I'm happy with my current reading speed and comprehension, and I know if I just continue working towards improving, I'll slowly get better. So for my immersion times, it's quite similar to last month. I was sick for a couple of days, so the total is a bit lower, but my averages are a lot higher. In total I've done 446 hours. That's 108 hours of Anki, 85 hours of listening, and 252 hours of reading. Just this month I've done 226 hours, and the averages for this month were 6 hours of immersion per day and 7.5 hours including Anki times per day. I did around 130 hours of reading manga, 24 hours of light novels, 13 hours of anime, around 10 or 15 hours of watching YouTube or streams, and 50 hours of Anki. I'd say I'm pretty happy with these times. If I can continue this for the next 3 months, I should be at around 1,000 hours in total, which I'm more than happy with going into my trip to Japan. I'd still say listening is my weakest point at the moment. I know that I've improved even with the little amount of immersion I've done this month, but I still need a lot more time to where I'd be comfortable with it. I can probably follow along with very simple slice of life anime and roughly know what was being talked about, but anything more complex and I'd be completely lost. Reading is still by far what I enjoy doing the most. There are times where I can read 2 or 3 pages of manga without looking up a single word, but there are also times where I get stuck in even simpler sentences, so there's still a lot more work that I need to do, but overall I'm pretty happy with my current reading comprehension. For grammar, I'm generally okay with where it currently is. I say the biggest struggle I have at the moment is just longer sentences, but I know I'll become more comfortable with this over time if I just keep reading. Going into next month, there's a few things I want to improve on. I'll definitely try to watch more anime without subtitles, but I'm struggling a bit to find more anime that I'm interested in that's kind of around my comprehension level. So compared to just reading, it's a bit harder to do. Towards the end of the month, I might try picking up another light novel, although I probably should cut back on reading to do more listening immersion. Overall, I mostly just want to continue with what I've been doing so far. I really enjoy my current routine and definitely seeing good progress with it, even if at times it can feel like, will I ever really understand this language, or is this just a big waste of time and should I just give up now? But I know if I just continue going, I'll eventually get there in the end. Also, a few days ago I booked my flight to Japan in September, so that's pretty exciting and good motivation for me to carry on. I'll probably make another video for my 5-month update if there's enough things to talk about, but otherwise I'll just wait for the 6-month update. So yeah, that's it for this video, and thanks again for watching.